This is my video for my Trooper Division run during the staff match at InRange TV's High Desert Brutality 2025. You can find the full Trooper Division rules on brutalitymatches.org, but essentially Trooper Division requires that you start the match with everything you're going to use throughout the match. You cannot resupply ammo, you cannot resupply parts or cleaning equipment or batteries. Everything you use for the whole match must start on your person and be carried throughout the match, stage to stage. The rifle I'm using is a KP-15 side folder, Cerakoted in Flat Dark Earth by Pro2 Customs. The buttstock is a B5 Systems. The upper is a FM Products kit build. FM Products sells their bufferless upper as a kit where you use your own barrel and bolt. In this case, I'm using an unrivaled 16.69-inch rifle gas system barrel with Superlative Arms adjustable gas block. On the muzzle is an unrivaled brake, and the optics package is a SIG Romeo 4T with Juliet 4-power magnifier. You may have seen my previous video discussing a different FM Products upper where I had a problem with the bolt bouncing out of battery. Replacing the bolt on that one with a chromed Young Manufacturing one resolved the problem, and I used it successfully at Woodland Brutality. This unit had very bad bolt bounce from the start, and I couldn't get more than a couple rounds off without the bolt bouncing out of battery and getting light primer strikes again. To attempt to resolve this, I removed the inner spring of the two recoil springs. With the adjustable gas block, I believed I could tune the action to be less violent so that it would reduce or eliminate the possibility of the bolt bouncing out of battery. All right, first I'm going to check for last shot lockback on all these mags. So in this segment, you're going to see me go through a number of testing validation procedures to make sure this rifle works before making the decision to use it as my trooper rifle at High Desert Brutality. Checking for last shot lockback and observing the ejection pattern is one of the validation procedures with any DI rifle to make sure that it is getting enough gas. All right, now I want to test to see fully chamber from a completely full magazine and bolt lock back and cycle through a full 30-round magazine. So with the bolt lock back, I insert the magazine and drop the bolt, and it does successfully chamber the first round all the way. When reducing spring strength, you want to make sure that the bolt can actually close on a full magazine with the magazine fully tensioned. My other FM Products upper had difficulty doing this at first with its original bolt. All right, so the first time the camera fell over, so let's try this again. So it did successfully chamber the first round, and it's going to cycle through the full magazine without any issues. Now is a good time to point out that these unrivaled heavy fluted match barrels hold zero really well when they get hot. I'm going to do a mag stand and just make sure there's nothing weird about not being supported off a bench. The rifle passes this function test as well, and all told, before taking this rifle to High Desert Brutality, I put about 250 rounds through it, then cleaned and lubricated it to make it ready for the match. So after this range session, I made the decision to take this rifle to the match and use it in Trooper Division. If something goes wrong, I don't have any ability to replace it or swap it out for another gun. But I already won Trooper Division at Woodland earlier this year, so I might as well take the gamble and see if this thing works on the clock at a match. You're going to see the stages in the order I shot them during the staff match. Unfortunately, 3 of these stages ended up being eliminated from the match due to a wildfire on the range, forcing us to truncate the match to get everyone cycled through in the time available. I will be discussing the fire during my next video in detail. The stage begins with the shooter prone underneath a tarp, engaging a 615-yard coyote target. If you hit it, it is a minus 60-second bonus. The shooter only has 3 shots available to make those hits. Unfortunately, I do not successfully engage the target. The next shooting position is making contact with this tank trap. Shooting intermediate cartridges at this match generally requires 2 hits on each steel target. The shooter or their rifle could be making contact with the tank trap. If you have a bipod, the right answer is to go prone next to it and make contact with the tank trap with your body. The same targets are re-engaged from each position. There are 2 targets at 100 yards, 1 target at 200 yards, and 1 target at 500 yards. This is the least stable position for me during the stage, so it's taking me a few rounds to get locked in on that 500-yard target. At Brutality matches, the range officer and or one of your squad mates can call corrections for you while you're engaging long-range targets. Both hits made on all targets, deploy the bipod, and shoot prone through the circle. Any two of the circles could be used from this position. And of course, as soon as I get prone, I shoot empty, have to conduct a reload. I should have just proactively reloaded when I was switching positions. Now drop the mag and fire the last round out at the 200-yard target. Missing that hit is a 15-second penalty, but I do successfully make it. I deploy my knife because everyone runs faster with the knife. No, there is a stab target on the stage. Later during the public match, that would be affixed to the post there. I cannot reload the rifle until I'm on the bus. First up, there will be 3 steel targets requiring 2 hits each at 100 yards. And here's where I have a few malfunctions with the rifle. The bolt is in fact bouncing out of battery. I eventually get the rifle running by using my thumb as a forward assist to push the bolt into battery. Pretty annoying that despite my best efforts, that occurred on the first stage. And I'm trying to push out of my head that I have 6 more stages to get through after this. Now, out of the back of the bus, there's going to be targets out to 450 yards that require 2 hits each. Talk to your RO if you don't know what you're doing. Even as the match director, I don't remember what I'm supposed to do on every stage all the time. In this case, I'm confirming the target that I need to engage last on the stage. I am 4th in Trooper Division on this stage. Getting that 60-second Coyote bonus is definitely worth it if you can pull it off. This stage was kept in the official match results. Now is also a good time to point out that this year's stages were longer and we increased the par time to 5 minutes per stage. On this stage, the shooter begins engaging targets using the sniper tripod. There are 5 targets out in the field at about 300 to 330 yards that must be hit, with 1 shot each, regardless of division. Once all 5 targets are successfully hit, the shooter moves the sniper tripod out of the way, and the next position is going to be over top of the support beam. On this stage, all of the shooter's extra ammunition started in a bucket down below the tower, and when you need to reload, you have to pull the bucket up. Fortunately, you only have to do this once. Note how for support, I've hooked my bipod over the rail and I'm pulling the rifle back towards my shoulder. Next position is going to be from the middle beam, but I'm going to reload first so I don't shoot empty in the middle of the string. Buckets up, pull out my magazine, conduct the reload, and this is going to be a bit more awkward position because I have to basically do a double kneel hunch forward, and from this position I'm going closer to the mag well to have better support. Note how I'm hooking my arm onto the ladder up to the next level because this is also giving me more support. Another malfunction. What I start to notice with the malfunctions I'm having with the rifle at this event is that they tend to happen when I'm supporting on props, but not if I'm just holding the rifle or if I'm shooting prone off the bipod. This probably has something to do with the recoil dynamic, essentially having a dead blow effect, preventing the bolt from bouncing out of battery. Final position is prone, and once I've hit all the targets prone, I have the option to rotate a spinner for a 60-second bonus. So, of course, I'm going to go for it. Reload before engaging the spinner because you never want to shoot empty in the middle of a spinner sequence.
Shot 126.
Oh, you're going to smoke me.
See what I'm saying? The gun likes to run from the bipod better than from a prop.
Over. 147.36.
Of the shooters who were able to complete this stage, I am first. This stage was eliminated from the final results of the match. On this stage, all of the shooters' equipment and load-bearing gear starts off of them. Troopers are not required to completely gear up for the stage. That's why I'm stuffing magazines in my pockets. This first target is a silhouette at 100 yards. The pistol I'm using is my Glock 45 with Radian ramjet compensator and lead and steel Pandora. With the target cleared, I pick up the Skull kettlebell, and that's going to come with me through most of the stage. Trooper Division does allow the use of pistol caliber carbines, but I opted not to use one at this match following our rules update that requires shooters to either carry all of their equipment during every stage or ground it at the start of the stage. This rules update makes people think more about what they actually want to carry, or at least having their gear set up efficiently to ground at the beginning of the stage on the clock. Back to trooper commentary in a moment. All steel targets on this stage require 2 hits each, and the spinner requires hitting the top plate, the bottom plate, the top plate, the bottom plate, and then you can rotate it for a bonus. The bonuses are worth 30 seconds each. For this match, I opted not to wear a rucksack or carry a PCC as I have done at other matches because I wanted to simply be ready to go as soon as the buzzer went off. All of my food, ammunition, spare parts, cleaning equipment, and batteries are carried in my chest rig and on my pistol belt. Stages like this can still exempt troopers from being required to carry everything because of the theme of the stage, but I wouldn't want to have to deal with that stuff on any of the other stages. This was another spinner that required alternating hits, then the shooter could rotate it. I really like shooting this pistol equipped with the ramjet because it allows me to rapidly hammer targets like this and neutralize them quickly. I can do that with my non-compensated pistols, but it's just a little bit easier. Big array of targets here requiring 2 hits each before leaving this shooting area and going up the hill into the final bay. The kettlebell gets abandoned on the table here just to make it easier to reset the stage. From this final position, there is a large steel target at about 50 yards. I have to hit it twice each from every one of the ports on the barricade. This is an area where I could have saved some time on the stage. I should have reloaded as I moved into position here. I'm going to end up reloading before I go to the last port because I'm consciously thinking that I don't want to have to conduct a reload prone. But if I had just done a reload on the move, I wouldn't have needed to reload at all from here. Note how when I'm using the ports and resting the pistol, I'm pushing into my weapon light to not impinge on the slide at all. Getting better support on the barricade doesn't help you at all if you induce a malfunction.
1, 2. If you're finished, clear.
That was a pretty intense stage. Of the shooters who were able to complete this stage, I am first. This stage was eliminated from the final match results. The stage requires that I hit 2 steel targets twice each from the top of each spool, then again prone from underneath between the spools. There is a limited window of engagement to neutralize a spinner for a bonus when I come back to this area later. So when I'm done engaging the mandatory targets now, I'm going to proactively reload so I have a full magazine to get that spinner bonus when I come back to this area later. All right, targets are neutralized. On the way to the next shooting area, I have to activate this switch on the launch panel. Going down into the trench, I'm going to be collecting 4 color-coded keys while I'm engaging the pistol targets. I remembered to turn on my POV cam, and it's going to make it most of the way through here before it runs out of memory. From each of the fault line, there's going to be 3 targets that require 2 hits each. Ran right past that one. Again, fortunately, coaching is allowed at Brutality matches. Skimming that one shot across the top of the mound right in front of me forces me to do a standing reload. I'm going to point out that the dangler pouch on the front of my chest rig is a great place for storing all these keys. They go in there quick and secure, and they're going to be quick to get out later. clearing shot on the target here, then holster. We always do clearing shots at brutality matches. You will never holster a hot pistol on the clock. This is done to be safe with a wide variety of pistols, holsters, and skill levels. Now I have to match up the color-coded keys with the launch panel here. Once they're all in and I turn them, there's a final switch which activates a 45-second par time. Once I'm back over at the spools, I have to hit the 2 mandatory targets again twice each, then I can go for the spinner bonus. Again, the rifle's running great from the prone position. I think that just that little bit of bounce keeps it from bouncing out of battery. Engagements like this demonstrate the effectiveness of the unrivaled brake because I'm able to essentially triple rounds at each presentation of the spinner. I am first in trooper on this stage with the 60-second bonus. This stage was kept in the final match results. This stage begins with a stage PCC. It's a WWSD KP9 with 1.5 power ACOG on it. There's a plate rack at about 60 yards. Shooter has 7 rounds to make 6 hits. If they neutralize all the plates, they don't have to go to that area with their pistol later. The shooter now has to engage 2 steel targets with 2 hits each from 3 different ports on this barricade. Note how I pull to the corners whenever possible. This helps control recoil as well as making the gun more stable for accuracy. The top 3 ports on this barricade were the fastest in my opinion to use. Moving left to right, note how I hand the rifle off to my right hand, keeping the muzzle down range. It allows me to move more quickly. From the top of this tower, I post up and I have to hit 4 targets 2 times each. Rifle on safe in the dump box. I now have to exchange the oxygen tank on the hose that has been attached to my gear. The theme for this match is Mars Revolution, so this is an explosive decompression exiting the airlock sort of stage. With the new tank attached, I exit the tower and I can head straight to the second shooting area because the plate rack to my right has already been neutralized. In this first shooting area, there are 4 targets I must hit twice each. Keeping the muzzle oriented towards downrange, I move to the next shooting area. In this area, I have to hit a plate on the left, a plate on the plate rack, and then a plate on the right. And this process repeats until all 6 plates on the plate rack are down, hitting the final static plate, dropping the magazine, then firing a clearing shot. Which worm on?
Left.
Left?
Yep.
Again, hot day, losing track of where I'm at during a reload. Not an uncommon experience for people, but communicate with your range officer and they will let you know what you need to do. Engaging these targets out of sequence is a plus 60-second penalty per instance. Drop the mag, take the time to make the shot. That is a 15-second penalty if you don't make the shot. Coming back to the tower, having a new rifle mag ready to reload before I start. I'm going to have to do 2 sweeps on the 4 targets of 2 hits each. And this is just kind of funny. I'm shooting the target so quick, the RO can't keep up with my hits, but I do successfully engage and hit all these targets. I'm first in Trooper Division on this stage. This stage was kept in the final scores. This stage begins with a stage shotgun and a launched clay target. If you get the clay, it's a bonus. Unfortunately, I miss it. Over here, the shooter activates the water fill and a secondary timer. Shooter has 60 seconds to do as many iterations of this engagement as they can, beginning with 2 hits on that triangle to the right, 2 hits on those 2 statics, then knock down a plate. Every plate knocked down at the end is a minus 5-second bonus. With the plate rack being the last target engaged, it's a real easy way to keep track of how many bonuses the shooter has earned. 2 iterations down. The magazines I'm using are Glock Factory 24 rounders. The reason I picked to use these magazines is they're high enough capacity while also not being obtrusive when worn on my belt in combination with a chest rig. This is where I'm starting to think about how many more iterations can I possibly get in and get over there, and it's time to go back and turn off the water, cap it, and I have to carry the 5-gallon water jug forward to the next shooting position, so about 40 pounds of weight. I'm going to note here for the internet range safety officers that the rifle starts verified empty, and it is treated as a stick. The 180 does not apply until it is loaded later on the stage. Really should have reloaded before I began this target engagement sequence because it's going to cost me a little bit at the end. Here the shooter has to hit the static plate, then the star, static plate, then star, and at the end they must shoot a clearing shot. I'm going to shoot empty on my last shot and have to conduct a reload just to shoot one round of the clearing shot. If I don't make that hit, it's a plus 15-second penalty. Water jug gets abandoned there for ease of reset. Unsling the rifle. Have to run all the way back in here to this VTAC barricade prop, and from each port there's going to be 2 targets that I have to hit twice each. I have to hit from a step, then a hole at the bottom, step, then hole at the bottom, step, then hole at the bottom. Just one malfunction from this prop. Note how I'm using my hand to hold my upper body into the right position to see behind the optic. Again, pulling into the corner for support and recoil control. Again, using my hand to prop my upper body up high enough to be behind the gun. Corner. And then finally, again, from this bottom port, again, support hand on the ground, propping myself up behind the rifle. I do like the charging handle on this FM upper, despite its other idiosyncrasies. I'm first of the shooters who were able to complete this stage. Unfortunately, this stage was eliminated from the final results. The stage begins with a hostage rescue headshot at 200 yards with the Stage Accuracy International Rifle. The shooter then has to run over to the dune buggy and enter it, and the rest of the shooting on the stage will be from inside the dune buggy. The shooter's rifle is staged in the dune buggy. Getting into this thing and not catching my gear on everything is, of course, a challenge. Lift my leg up to get it in there. I don't fully understand our procedures yet for this stage, so I was waiting for the okay from the RO to make ready. If you hit the static targets between these barrels and the next set of barrels, it is a bonus per hit with a max of 5. Not many people got any bonuses, and neither did I. Unfortunately, I forgot to turn my GoPro on for this stage. Once down in the shooting area, the shooter has to hit 2 steel targets in sweeps, 1, 2, 1, 2. Then safe the rifle, ground it on the hood of the vehicle, exit the vehicle, remove a fuel can, run over to the fuel depot, exchange the can, replace the can. Once I replace the can and get back in the vehicle, I have to hit the targets again. You can see the camera's drifting over there. That was the hostage rescue target next to that yellow target, the yellow target being the no-shoot. And that is the end of my Trooper Division run at High Desert Brutality 2025. I'm third in Trooper Division on this stage. This stage was kept in the official match scores. In the end, I'm first out of 26 shooters in Trooper Division, and third overall. Ultimately, while the malfunctions I had with the FM upper were annoying, they weren't too costly, and the charging handle arrangement, along with being left-handed, allowing me to see the status of the bolt, allowed me to clear the malfunctions rapidly when they did occur. After the match, I tried a bunch of different spring combinations, seeing if I could eliminate the bolt bounce by reducing the poundage, And ultimately what I found was no matter what the poundage of springs involved, the bolt would bounce out of battery, and the important thing was having enough spring to push it back into battery. So while it is running better now with the parts smoothed out, clean, and with both springs installed, I believe this bolt system is more susceptible to interference by dirt and debris and fouling, just as a low-mass AR-15 operating system would be. But also more so because the carrier is lower mass altogether. There is no buffer to have a dead blow effect. So keeping this gun clean with the springs the correct strength is critical to keep it in good working order. Having a better understanding of how this system works after the match, I am lucky that the rifle ran as well as it did with me removing one of the springs for use during the match. I don't think I would have encountered these malfunctions though using this gun in a sterile environment, just test firing it on a square range though. So it was useful to use at High Desert Brutality from that testing and evaluation perspective. Thank you for watching. Come back again soon for my heavy rifle division run at High Desert Brutality 2025. And always remember, the Second Amendment is for everyone.